In the vast silence of space, the solar system glittered like a small island in an endless ocean. Among the stars, humanity had built cities, stations, and colonies on every planet they could reach. They were no longer bound to Earth, but even with all their progress, humans still carried an old fear, the fear of extinction. Centuries ago, alien civilizations had arrived. At first, there was friendship. Then came treaties, trade, and the great council known as the Galactic Union, a community of hundreds of intelligent species. Humanity was proud to join it. But the galaxy was not a peaceful place. Beyond the Union's protected borders, there were powers older and darker than anyone could imagine. Humanity had seen what happened to species who were weak. Some were enslaved, others simply vanished. Humans learned from their history, from their wars, their mistakes, and their unbreakable will to survive. And so, when the Galactic Union began restricting weapons and technology, Earth's leaders grew cautious. They wanted peace, but they would never allow humanity to stand helpless again. That is why Project Helios was born, hidden in the shadows of Jupiter's moons, deep inside a man-made cavern on Europa. A small group of engineers, scientists, and soldiers worked in silence. No official record mentioned them. The Galactic Union believed the site was only a research station for ice mining. But beneath the frozen crust, something incredible was being built. A warship unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Her name would be USS Invictus, Admiral Sarah Kane. The leader of the project stood on the observation deck, looking through a transparent shield at the half-constructed ship. She was tall, calm, and carried the kind of authority that came from years of command. The ship's massive hull glowed with soft blue light as robotic arms welded shining metal plates together. Beside her, Chief Engineer Marcus Lynn spoke quietly. "Admiral, the Singularity Core is stable. The energy readings are within predicted limits." Sarah nodded. "Good, but keep monitoring. We can't afford mistakes. The Union already watches us too closely." Marcus hesitated. "You think they'll find out?" "They will," she replied softly. "They always do. The question is when." The Invictus was more than just a ship. It was a dream and a risk. At its heart was a human-designed singularity engine, a power source banned by the Galactic Union. It could bend gravity and space, allowing the ship to jump across star systems instantly. In theory, it could also destroy planets if misused. That was why the Union had forbidden such technology. But humanity's history had taught them a cruel lesson. Laws written by others could not always protect them. The project had taken 30 years. Generations of scientists had passed their knowledge down, working in silence, keeping the secret alive. Each part of the ship represented humanity's greatest achievements: titanium alloy from Mars, energy cells from Mercury, and navigation systems built by Earth's brightest minds. Every nation had contributed, even those that had once been enemies. For the first time in history, the human race was united under one goal: to create the ultimate guardian of mankind. As Sarah looked at the Invictus, she felt a strange mix of pride and fear. The ship was beautiful, sleek, dark, and powerful. Her hull shimmered like liquid metal, her wings stretched like those of an angel. The name Invictus was painted across the side in bold letters. It meant unconquered. The first trial was scheduled for the next month. Only 50 people would crew the ship. They were the best humans could offer: scientists, pilots, engineers, and tacticians trained in both science and strategy. Sarah knew the risk. If the Union found out before the test, the project could be destroyed and every person involved could face arrest. Yet she also knew that hesitation had never saved humanity before. One night, while walking through the ship's quiet corridors, Sarah stopped by the viewing window of the command deck. The stars outside seemed endless. She remembered her childhood, looking up from the plains of old Earth. Dreaming of flying among the stars, she whispered to herself, "If humanity must be judged, let it be for daring to dream." Meanwhile, across the galaxy, the Galactic Union's High Council gathered in their shining hall of glass and crystal. Representatives from dozens of species sat around a circular table, discussing recent energy readings near Jupiter. Ambassador Teller, a tall silver-skinned alien from the Elith species, spoke in his soft musical voice. "Our scanners detect gravitational ripples. The pattern resembles a Class 7 singularity. Such readings are forbidden under Union law. The chair of the council, a being of living light named Oralis, shimmered brightly. Singularity energy near human space? Impossible. They signed the technology ban 2 centuries ago. Humans are clever, Teller replied calmly. Sometimes too clever. Oralis pulsed with concern. Send a probe. If they are building something illegal, the Union will demand answers, and so, while humans continued their secret work, invisible eyes had already turned toward them. Back on Europa, the final preparations were underway. The Invictus's engines were active, glowing with golden light. Crew members moved through the halls, checking systems and running simulations. Every heartbeat echoed through the ship like a drum of destiny. Chief Engineer Lin stood beside the reactor core, staring into the swirling sphere of light, the singularity itself contained by powerful magnetic fields. It's alive, he said quietly. Sarah entered the room. Alive and waiting. You really think the galaxy will understand? He asked. Maybe not today, she answered, but someday they'll thank us. This ship isn't a weapon, it's a promise that humanity will never be helpless again. The day of the first launch came. The Invictus hovered above the icy surface of Europa, surrounded by mist and blue lightning from its engines. The ground trembled as the ship prepared to leave the moon. Sarah stood on the bridge, calm and ready. All systems online, reported pilot James Alaric. Singularity drive stable. Energy levels optimal. Then take us up, Sarah ordered. Slowly, the Invictus rose from the ice, its engines glowing brighter and brighter. The crew felt the vibration under their feet. Not from fear, but from power. The moment the ship entered orbit, it disappeared in a flash of golden light. For the first time in history, a human ship had jumped across the stars using a singularity engine. The Invictus reappeared near Saturn, surrounded by rings of ice and stone. The jump had been perfect. Cheers erupted through the ship. Engineers hugged each other, and pilots clapped their hands in disbelief. Sarah smiled faintly. We did it, she whispered, but her smile faded as the communication console blinked. A signal was coming in, an unknown source. The message was short but clear. This is Galactic. Union Patrol Vessel Tarion 9. You are in violation of Article 47B power. Down immediately and prepare for inspection. The crew fell silent. Sarah looked out the viewport at the distant silver shape approaching. The Union had found them faster than expected. Admiral, said James nervously. Sarah's voice was steady. Maintain position. Do not respond. She watched as the Union ship drew closer. So they finally noticed, she said quietly. Let them look. Let them see what humanity can create when no one tells us we can't. The Invictus stood still in the black of space, shining like a star of gold and steel, silent, powerful, and proud. In that moment, every human aboard understood something simple yet eternal. They had crossed a line that could never be uncrossed. The galaxy would never look at humanity the same way again, and thus began the legend of the ultimate human warship, the Invictus. The silence on the bridge of the USS Invictus was heavy. Only the soft hum of the ship's engines filled the air as the crew waited for Admiral Sarah Kane to speak. On the main screen, a silver-gray ship approached, sleek, sharp, and marked with the insignia of the Galactic Union Patrol. Communication channel open? Sarah asked calmly. Yes, Admiral, said Communications Officer Lena Cross. They've sent 3 hails. They demand we power down immediately. Sarah's gaze stayed fixed on the screen. Ignore them. Let's not start a war with words. The patrol ship, Tarion 9, was much smaller than the Invictus, but it represented the full authority of the Galactic Union. Inside its hull, alien officers whispered nervously. They had heard rumors about humanity's secret ship, but seeing it in person was different. The human vessel looked alive, its surface glowing softly like molten gold, as if light itself obeyed its command. Admiral Kane gave her first quiet order. Prepare jump engines for low-power test. We'll make a small hop, 10,000 kilometers away. Let's see how closely they follow. Chief Engineer Marcus Lynn nodded. Engaging singularity drive in low range. Coordinates set. Execute. The Invictus shimmered, and in an instant vanished. To the human crew, the jump felt like a blink. The stars around them shifted slightly, and the ship's systems adjusted with a faint hum. They had reappeared exactly where they wanted, But the Union patrol wasn't far behind. Within seconds, the Tarian 9 jumped too, reappearing nearby. "They're faster than expected," said James Alaric, the pilot. "Guess they really want to know what we're hiding." "Let them look," Sarah said. "We're not the ones breaking the peace. We're only testing our creation." Still, she knew this encounter couldn't last forever. The Invictus was no longer a secret. Somewhere in the shining halls of the Galactic Union, reports were already being sent, and those reports would reach the Council soon. Hours later, the patrol ship sent another transmission. Lena read it aloud. "USS Invictus, under the Galactic Union Treaty, you are ordered to surrender your vessel for inspection and shutdown. Failure to comply will result in immediate action." Sarah took a deep breath. "Action," she repeated softly. Then she turned to her officers. "Record this. I want every word documented." She stood tall, her voice calm but strong. "This is Admiral Sarah Kane of the United Terran Fleet. The USS Invictus is a defensive research vessel. We are not a threat. We will not surrender this ship." End transmission. The message was sent. The crew waited, every second stretching like an hour. Finally, the patrol ship responded, but instead of words, it fired a small ion pulse, a warning shot. The energy wave rippled across space and struck the Invictus's shields, glowing blue for a moment before fading. "No damage," James frowned. "That was a warning, but the next one won't be." Sarah's tone stayed calm. "Power up shields. Do not return fire." Marcus looked surprised. "Admiral, they just attacked us, and we will not give them the excuse they want," she said firmly. "Let them see we don't need violence to prove strength." Still, the tension on the bridge was thick. Every crew member could feel it, the moment history began to shift. Humanity had built something the galaxy feared, and fear always led to conflict. Meanwhile, deep within the Galactic Union Council, chaos had begun. Reports of the illegal human ship spread fast. Some members demanded immediate sanctions. Others urged patience. Ambassador Teller of the Alith species spoke with concern. If the humans have truly created a singularity drive, they could destabilize entire star systems. We cannot allow such power in the hands of one species. But others disagreed. Oralis, the being of living light who led the council, spoke softly. And yet they used it responsibly. They did not attack the patrol ship. Perhaps they seek only protection. Teller replied, "Wait, protection today, domination tomorrow. That is the human way." The council chamber fell into murmurs. For every ally humanity had made, there were two more who still distrusted them. The decision was clear. The humans would be ordered to shut down the Invictus or face consequences. Back near Saturn, the Invictus continued its tests. Inside the engineering bay, Marcus Lynn and his team ran diagnostics. The Singularity core pulsed with warm golden light, steady and strong. Marcus smiled slightly. "It's holding perfectly, Admiral. The power balance is flawless. This ship could outlast an entire fleet." "Good," Sarah replied, "because we might need it sooner than we hoped." Suddenly, the radar alarm sounded. "Multiple contacts incoming," shouted James from the pilot station. "Union reinforcements, 6 ships vectoring straight toward us." The bridge lights dimmed as the tactical screens came alive. "Admiral, they're forming a blockade pattern," Lena said quickly. "They're trying to trap us." Sarah gave a single nod. "Activate stealth field. Let's see how well they handle human innovation." Marcus smiled faintly as he tapped the console. "Engaging cloak in 3, 2, 1. The Invictus shimmered and vanished again, fading into the black sea of space. From the outside, it was as if the ship had dissolved. The Union ship spread out, scanning frantically, but they could find nothing. The human ship was gone. On board, Sarah watched the readings with quiet pride. "We're invisible to them. The cloak is working better than expected." "Admiral," Marcus said softly, "you realize this will only make them more afraid." "I know," she replied, "but fear isn't always our enemy. Sometimes it's our armor." For several hours, the Invictus drifted silently, hidden behind Saturn's rings. The crew finally had time to breathe. Lena turned in her chair. "Admiral, what's next?" "We can't hide forever." Sarah looked thoughtful. "We return to base. Europa Station must be secured, and we prepare for what comes next." The Council's response. Before anyone could reply, the ship's sensors began to beep again. "New signal detected," said James. "Not Union, Different configuration, Sarah frowned. Show it. On the screen, a massive ship appeared at the edge of the system. Its hull was jagged and dark, its energy readings strange and unstable. That's not Union tech, Marcus said quietly. No, Sarah agreed. That's something else. The signal came through. A deep, metallic voice. Human vessel detected. You are in Vrax Dominion territory. Surrender immediately or be destroyed. The crew exchanged uneasy glances. None of them had heard the name before. Sarah turned toward Marcus. Vrax Dominion? He shook his head. Unknown. But their ship is massive, much larger than the patrol craft. Then we learn by doing, she said. Raise shields. Prepare for combat test. Outside, the Vrax ship fired first, twin beams of red energy striking the Invictus's shields. The impact shook the entire vessel, but the energy field held firm. Shields at 87%, Lena reported. Sarah's eyes narrowed. Return fire. One shot only. Let them understand what we can do. Marcus armed the Singularity cannon. The weapon's core glowed with a golden pulse as the power built up. The crew felt the vibration deep in their bones. Firing. A sphere of golden light burst from the Invictus's front cannon, silent and bright. It crossed the distance in an instant, and when it touched the enemy ship, space itself seemed to fold. The Vrax ship vanished. No explosion. No debris, just gone. The bridge was silent. James whispered, Did we just— Yes, Sarah said quietly. We just erased them. She turned toward the screen where only stars remained. That was not an act of war. That was a warning to anyone who thinks humanity is weak. Minutes later, another signal appeared from the Galactic Union patrol ship. This is Commander Durrell of the Union Patrol. We witnessed your actions. That weapon is forbidden. Power down immediately. Sarah's voice stayed calm. Commander, that alien ship fired first. We defended ourselves, Durrell replied. You have created a weapon that breaks the laws of physics. The Union will not tolerate it. Sarah looked out at the stars. Then perhaps the Union needs to decide what it truly fears, danger or human strength. She ended the transmission. The Invictus turned away, heading back toward Jupiter, golden light trailing behind. The crew watched silently, knowing they had crossed another line. They had proven their ship worked. But they had also revealed its power to the galaxy. As the ship entered hyperspace, Sarah closed her eyes for a moment. She could feel history shifting again. Somewhere far away, alien leaders would soon call for action against humanity. But she didn't regret what she had done, because for the first time in 1,000 years, no one in the galaxy could call humanity weak. And so began the legend's next chapter, the first trial of the Invictus. The news of the USS Invictus spread faster than light. Every transmission, every recording of its first battle reached the far edges of the Galactic Union. Within hours, the galaxy was talking about one thing: humanity's secret warship that destroyed a Vrax Dominion cruiser in a single shot. To some, it was a story of bravery. To others, it was a warning. In the shining city of EpicSciFiTales, where the Galactic Union Council held its meetings, thousands of delegates filled the Crystal Hall. The air was thick with tension. Holographic screens showed the moment when the Invictus had fired, the golden beam folding space and making the enemy ship vanish without explosion or sound. Impossible, whispered one alien delegate. They created a singularity weapon, shouted another. This is madness. They could destroy planets. At the center of the hall, Ambassador Teller stood tall. His silver skin shimmered under the light. Honorable members of the council, he began, what you have seen is not defense. It is domination. Humanity has broken every law we made to prevent galactic destruction. His voice echoed through the hall. If they are not stopped, the Invictus could threaten every species here. Today it is the Vrax. Tomorrow it could be us. The chamber erupted in voices, some fearful, some angry. But one voice rose above them all, calm, gentle, and made of pure light. Auralis, the being who served as council chair, spoke. Let us not rush to judgment. The humans acted after being attacked. The Vrax Dominion struck first. Teller replied sharply, Does that justify creating a godlike weapon? The Union exists to prevent exactly this. Auralis paused, glowing brighter. You speak truth, Teller. Yet we must also remember the humans have defended us before. They are survivors, not conquerors. Still, even Auralis could feel the unease growing. In the eyes of many, humanity had crossed a line that could never be undone. Far away in the quiet orbit around Jupiter, the Invictus floated above its secret base. Inside, the crew worked tirelessly to repair minor damages from the first battle. Engineers moved through glowing corridors, their steps echoing softly. Admiral Sarah Kane stood in the command chamber, staring at a message on the main screen. A direct order from the United Terran government. "Admiral Kane," the president's voice said, "the Galactic Union has declared the Invictus illegal. They demand that we surrender the ship for deconstruction." The crew listened silently. President Rhea Donovan continued, her tone steady but sad. "We know what you have achieved. You saved our people from the Vraks, but now the Union sees us as dangerous. We must handle this carefully." Sarah's eyes narrowed slightly. "Do they want us to give up the only thing keeping us safe?" "The Union threatens sanctions," the president replied. "They'll cut off trade, energy, and access to jump gates if we refuse." Sarah's voice was calm but firm. "Then we'll build our own gates." The screen went dark. The bridge was quiet for a long moment. Finally, pilot James Alaric spoke. "Admiral, what do we do now?" Sarah looked at the stars outside. "We do what humans always do. We keep moving forward." Meanwhile, the galaxy's reaction grew worse. On alien worlds, protests began. Some species demanded that humanity be expelled from the Union. Others feared open war. Across space, news networks showed endless debates. "Humans have built a monster," said one alien commentator. "No," another replied, "they've built a guardian." But the fear was stronger than hope. The Union High Council announced an emergency meeting. Fleets from dozens of species began to gather. For peacekeeping, they said. But everyone knew the truth. They were preparing for war. Inside the Invictus, the atmosphere had changed. The crew who once felt proud now carried heavy hearts. They had built something beautiful, something that could protect life, and now they were being hunted for it. Chief Engineer Marcus Lynn met Sarah in the observation bay. The planet Jupiter glowed like a giant eye beneath them. "Do you ever wonder," Marcus asked quietly, "if we went too far?" Sarah didn't answer immediately. Her eyes were thoughtful. "No, I wonder if the galaxy went too far, in letting fear rule them." He smiled weakly. "Maybe both." "Marcus," she said softly, "the Invictus is not a weapon of conquest. It's a promise. One day they'll see that." Later, a communication alert interrupted the silence. "Message from the Union Council," said Lena, the communications officer. "It's a live transmission." "Put it through," Sarah ordered. The holographic image of Oralis appeared on the bridge. Its glowing form filled the room with gentle light. "Admiral Kane," Oralis said, "the Union recognizes humanity's courage. You fought the Vraks bravely, but the Invictus cannot exist. Its power threatens the balance of the galaxy. We ask that you bring the ship to the Elith system for dismantling. You will be treated with honor." Sarah listened quietly, then replied, "Chair Oralis, with respect, you are asking humanity to kneel after we saved lives. The Invictus stopped the Vraks when no one else would." Teller's voice joined the transmission, sharp and cold. "And in doing so, you revealed your true nature, reckless and dangerous. The Council will not ask again." Sarah's expression didn't change. "Then don't ask. The Invictus belongs to Earth, and it will never be handed over." The transmission ended abruptly. A tense silence followed. "Admiral," said Lena softly, "the Council won't forgive this." "I know," Sarah said, "but I didn't come out here to ask for forgiveness." Outside, the stars shone quietly, indifferent to politics and fear. The Invictus drifted above Jupiter, a lonely symbol of human defiance. Days later, a fleet appeared near the edge of the solar system, 20 Union ships in formation. They carried banners of peace, but their weapons were charged. Aboard the flagship Valandros, Ambassador Teller watched the human system on the screen. "They force our hand," he said coldly. "We will seize the ship peacefully if possible, forcefully if not." But something unexpected happened. As the Union fleet approached, sensors detected movement, dozens of smaller ships rising from Mars, the Moon, and Earth's orbit. Human defense vessels, old but proud, took position in front of the Invictus. The message was clear: no one touches Earth without a fight. Teller's officers hesitated. "Sir, the humans are forming a blockade." Teller's expression darkened. "So be it. Prepare to... Before he could finish, a signal interrupted the communication. It was from Chair Oralis herself. "Ambassador Teller, stand down," said Oralis's glowing figure. "We will not start a war today." "But Chair..." "Enough," Oralis said firmly. "The galaxy is already afraid. Let us not turn fear into flames." Reluctantly, the Union fleet halted. Back on the Invictus, Sarah watched from the command bridge as the Union ships slowly withdrew. "They're retreating," James said in disbelief. "I can't believe it," Sarah nodded. "They'll be back. But now they know we're not afraid." The crew cheered softly. For a moment, hope filled the air again. That night, Sarah walked alone through the ship's corridors. The hum of the engines was steady and calm. She paused at the viewing deck and stared into the stars. She remembered the President's warning, the Union's anger, the crew's doubts. But she also remembered something else, the faces of every man and woman who had worked for 30 years to build the Invictus. This ship was not born of greed or hatred. It was born of hope, the simple human belief that survival was worth fighting for. As she stood there, Marcus joined her quietly. "You think they'll attack again?" Sarah smiled faintly. "Of course. Fear doesn't vanish that easily." "And what will we do then?" he asked. She looked out at the stars, cold, endless, and beautiful. "Then we remind them why they feared us in the first place, and why they should also trust us." The Invictus continued to drift, glowing faintly like a small golden sun in the dark of space. All across the galaxy, species whispered about it. Some called it a threat, others a miracle. But one thing was certain. Humanity had changed the galaxy forever, and far beyond the stars, the Vrax Dominion watched from the shadows, planning their revenge. The next storm was already rising. The galaxy was not quiet for long. News of the USS Invictus spread like wildfire through communications channels. Every station, every fleet, every planet was talking about humanity's secret warship, and the Union's failure to take it. In the capital of the Galactic Union, debate turned into fury. The High Council gathered again, louder, angrier than before. "Humanity refuses to surrender their weapon," Ambassador Teller said, his voice sharp. "They flaunt their defiance. This is not peace. This is a challenge." Several delegates murmured agreement. Others, however, spoke of hesitation. The human warship had destroyed a Dominion cruiser in a single shot. That was not something they could ignore. Chair Oralis addressed them calmly, but her voice carried weight. "We cannot allow a single species to hold such power. But war is not a choice we take lightly. Humanity must stand down." Teller's voice rose. "They have proven they will not stand down. The Union must act." The decision came swiftly. A fleet would be assembled to seize the Invictus. Peace talks would be attempted, but if those failed, force would be used. Far in human space, the crew of the Invictus were already preparing. For days, they had watched Union fleets gather beyond the outer planets. Their presence was not hidden anymore. Every day, dozens of ships, some warships and some reconnaissance vessels, moved closer. In the Invictus's command chamber, Admiral Kane stood before the crew. "The Union will demand surrender. They will try to force us, but we cannot give them what they want. Humanity will not bow to fear." Pilot James Alaric leaned forward. "Admiral, they outnumber us 100 to 1. We can't fight them all," Sarah nodded. "We don't have to. We have something they do not, the Singularity Core. This ship is proof humanity will never stand weak again." Chief Engineer Marcus Lynn added quietly, "The Council will not allow this to continue without action. They'll act soon." Sarah looked toward the viewport at Saturn's rings. "Let them come. We will meet them not with panic but with strength." But the threat did not come from the Union alone. Far beyond the edges of known space, the Vrax Dominion had not forgotten their first defeat. Their fleets were scattered, their pride wounded, but their desire for revenge burned hotter than ever. The Vrax Council, hidden in the shadows of a dying star, called their greatest leaders together. "We were humiliated," said the commander of the fleet, his voice low and rough. "A single human warship destroyed one of our strongest vessels." Another leader, scales shimmering in dark light, replied, "They are dangerous, but they will not stand forever. We will destroy them." Plans were made. Armadas would be gathered. The humans would be hunted to the ends of space. The galaxy had seen only the first step of the storm that was coming. The first move came quietly. The Union fleet sent a delegation to the Invictus. They arrived in a heavily armed cruiser, carrying diplomats and soldiers. The ship docked at the Invictus. Sarah met the delegation on the observation deck. Ambassador Teller was at the head, flanked by Union officers. "Admiral Kane," Teller began, "we have orders from the High Council. Surrender your ship. Bring it to EpicSciFiTales for dismantling. Humanity will face sanctions if you refuse." Sarah's eyes did not waver. "The Invictus belongs to humanity. We built it to protect ourselves. We will not hand it over." Teller's tone hardened. "Then the Union will take it by force." Sarah smiled faintly. "Then we will show you why humanity built it." She turned and walked away. The delegation departed, their silence heavy with warning. Soon after, reports came in from Union fleets, small skirmishes near human space. The Union did not attack directly. They tested the Invictus. They probed human defenses. But humanity responded each time with restraint. The Invictus disabled Union vessels without destruction whenever possible, sending a clear message. Humanity did not want war, but they would defend themselves. Still, tensions grew. The Union fleets closed in, blockading human systems. Trade routes were cut. The outer colonies began to suffer shortages. On Earth, protests filled the streets. Some called for surrender. Others called for resistance. Humanity was divided. In the command chamber of the Invictus, Sarah addressed her crew. "The Union fears us because we have crossed their limits. They will try to stop us even if it means war. But we did not build this ship to fight the galaxy. We built it to protect humanity. And that is exactly what we will do." The crew nodded in silence. They had followed her this far. They would follow her further. Then the real threat arrived. The Invictus's sensors detected movement beyond the Union blockade. Dozens of ships, not Union, not known to the charts, approached human space at high speed. The readings were alarming. "They're massive," Lena reported. "Unknown technology, unknown origin," Marcus frowned. "They match no Union signature." The captain of the Invictus, Sarah Kane, stepped to the viewport. Outside, the ships emerged from the black. They were vast and jagged, their hulls dark with strange energy fields. "Vrax," she said quietly. "Yes, Admiral," Lena confirmed. "This is the Dominion. They're coming back." The message came through in the Vrax tongue, rough and metallic. "Humans, you are in Vrax territory. You will surrender or we will destroy you." Sarah looked at her crew. "Prepare for battle. This time, it will not be a warning." The Union fleet watched in stunned silence. The approaching Vrax fleet was larger than anything they had encountered. Hundreds of ships, each bristling with weapons. The Union fleet could not stand against them alone. Some Union commanders turned to the Council for orders. But the Council was silent. Fear and hesitation spread through their ranks. That left humanity, and the Invictus, alone at the edge of the storm. Sarah gave her orders. "Raise shields to maximum, arm all weapons, and get ready to lead them into battle. This isn't just our fight anymore, this is the defense of the galaxy." The crew moved with precision. Engineers ran to the weapon stations. Pilots prepared their ships. Every person aboard the Invictus knew this moment was a turning point. Outside, the Vrax fleet closed in. Their weapons began to glow. The air in the ship's corridors felt heavy with tension. James Alaric at the helm said quietly, "Admiral, they're not just coming for us. They're coming for all of human space." Sarah nodded. "Then we fight. Not just to survive, but to prove why humanity will never be conquered." The Invictus powered forward. The hum of the Singularity core deepened. Outside, the first shots rang out across the void. The galaxy held its breath. The darkness of space was broken by hundreds of glowing weapons. The Vrax fleet closed in on the USS Invictus, their jagged hulls reflecting red light like predators ready to strike. The Union fleet hovered nearby, tens of ships armed but uncertain. They watched humanity face what no one could face alone. Inside the Invictus, the crew moved with precision. Admiral Sarah Kane stood at the command bridge, her eyes fixed on the holographic display of approaching enemies. "Status," she said softly. Pilot James Alaric spoke clearly. "Vrax fleet is closing fast. Shields holding at 92%. Weapons are ready," Chief Engineer Marcus Lynn added. "Singularity core is stable. We can use full power if needed. Sarah turned to lean across, the communications officer. Open a channel to the Union fleet. The connection crackled. Admiral Kane's voice rang steady. This is Admiral Sarah Kane of the USS Invictus. We face the Vrax Dominion together. We have a choice. Stand together or be destroyed separately. Join us. There was silence. Then a single voice replied, We stand with you, humanity. A wave of relief passed through the bridge. Other voices followed. Orders were given. The Union fleet moved closer to join the Invictus. The Vrax saw it too. Their massive ships slowed, forming ranks for battle. The war was beginning. The battle space became a storm of fire and light. Union and human ships moved forward together, firing in harmony. The Invictus led them, its golden singularity cannon glowing with unmatched power. The first Vrax ships charged forward, their weapons sending blasts that shook even the strongest ships. But the Invictus struck first. A beam of pure golden light tore through the void. It hit the lead Vrax cruiser and warped space around it. The ship vanished, instantly erased without explosion. The sight stunned every observer in the battlefield. The Vrax hesitated. They had not expected humanity to lead such courage. Sarah knew this moment was critical. Focus fire on their warships, she ordered. Target their command vessels first. Break their will. The fleet moved in coordination, and one by one Vrax ships fell. Yet they kept coming, relentless, driven by vengeance. The battle stretched across space for hours. The Invictus became the heart of humanity's defense, leading daring strikes and shielding weaker ships. Every crew member fought with everything they had. Lena Cross kept communications open with Union leaders. They are faltering, she reported. We can win this. Marcus Lynn monitored the Singularity core. Core energy is dropping. We won't hold much longer at full power. Sarah's jaw tightened. Then we end this now. She looked at her crew. This is why we built the Invictus. To protect humanity. To protect every free world. Now we fight for survival and for the future. The crew responded with determined silence. They were ready. The turning point. The Vrax flagship, larger than any ship in the galaxy, moved toward the Invictus. Its weapons charged with deadly energy. Sarah made her choice. Prepare the Singularity cannon. This will be the decisive strike. Marcus nodded. Energy levels are stable enough for one final shot. Make it count, Sarah said. James Alaric maneuvered the Invictus into position. The ship shuddered as the core pulsed with immense energy. The golden beam ignited. It was unlike anything ever seen. The light expanded in silence, growing until it filled the viewport. Then it shot forward, pure power bending space itself. The beam struck the Vrax flagship. For a moment there was silence. Then the ship vanished completely, leaving nothing behind. No wreckage. No sound. The Vrax fleet faltered. Their commanders did not know whether to flee or fight. Union ships pressed forward. Humanity pressed forward. The battle turned. The Vrax scattered, retreating into the darkness. The galaxy had never seen such courage. Aftermath. The battlefield fell silent. The surviving Vrax ships vanished beyond known space. The Union fleet gathered around the Invictus. Admiral Kane stood tall on the bridge, her crew silent but proud. We have won, she said softly. But this victory is only the beginning. Union leaders hailed her as a hero. Teller was forced to admit humanity's strength. Chair Oralis spoke in the council. The humans have proven their place among the stars. The Invictus is a warning and a promise. We must treat it as both. Humanity's message echoed across the galaxy. They would not bow to fear. The choice the United Terran government called a meeting on Earth. The Union offered a treaty on the Invictus would be disarmed and dismantled if humanity agreed to work with the Union on future defense projects. Sarah Kane stood before the leaders and the people of Earth. Her voice was calm, but powerful. The Invictus was built to protect humanity, but it has become more than a ship. It is a symbol of what we can achieve when we unite. The galaxy feared us before, but today they respect us. The choice before us is clear. Surrender the Invictus and lose our independence, or keep it and stand ready for the future. The debate was fierce, but the people of Earth had seen the Invictus in battle. They knew what was at stake. Finally, the decision was unanimous. Humanity would keep the Invictus, not as a weapon of war, but as a guardian of peace. The legacy, the Invictus, became more than a ship. It became a symbol of human courage, unity, and defiance. Across the galaxy, species spoke of it in awe. Humanity was no longer just another race among many. They had become a force the galaxy could not ignore. Sarah Kane continued to lead the Invictus and her crew into new missions, protecting colonies, exploring unknown regions, and guarding peace where it was threatened. Humanity had stepped into a new role, not conquerors, but protectors. Even the Vraks, nursing their wounds, came to understand one truth: humanity was not to be underestimated. And in the quiet halls of the Invictus, Marcus Lynn once asked Sarah quietly, "Do you think they'll ever forgive us?" Sarah smiled faintly. "Forgiveness is not what we need. Understanding is, and one day they will understand." The Invictus sailed forward into the endless stars. Its golden hull shone as a beacon of hope, courage, and strength. The galaxy knew humanity had changed forever, and humanity knew it had a new destiny. The war had ended, but the legend of the ultimate human warship, the Invictus, had only just begun.